Hi everyone. Up here in Parliament, where our job at the moment is to pass the stimulus package and make sure that we leave here the next couple of days doing everything we can to protect lives in the face of this terrible coronavirus threat. This place is like a ghost town at the moment. There's just absolutely no one around, and usually this place is absolutely thriving and buzzing, but in Parliament we're all sitting one per bench and everyone's keeping their distance from each other, and as everyone talks to each other, I imagine we're saying exactly what's being said in many other places around the country. These are unusual times and everyone's trying to work out the best way to get us all through this. One thing's becoming crystal clear though, after we've spent last night and the last couple of days looking at the government's package to deal with the terrible situation that we're in the recession and the potentially possible depression that we are entering into. And that is that the government's package, whilst we won't stand in the way of it and we'll see it passed before we leave here, because we do want to make sure we keep the economy out of recession, it leaves far too many people behind. And we're seeing people on youth allowance, for example, who might be doing a couple of extra shifts to top up their below poverty level youth allowance, getting no extra support package, people on disability support pension, carers, and of course people with disabilities. There's no support being put in place to protect their carers and make sure that they can look after themselves and get the income that they need. Of all the billions of dollars that are going to corporations as part of this stimulus package, there isn't one single requirement that the corporations use that money to keep workers on and keep paying their wages. I mean, even Boris Johnson has managed to do that, has managed to put in place a wage subsidy that ensures that people are more likely to stay in work. And we don't have that here. We have billions of dollars being handed out and we don't have it going to the bottom, we have it going to the top. Yes, we need support for business, absolutely, and we'll make sure that some of that gets passed while we're up here, but we also need support for workers, for the unemployed, for people who are doing it tough at the moment. So we'll be doing everything we can over the next couple of days to not only make sure we look after the economy, but look after the people as well. And at the end of the day, if we are going to be bailing out people, we shouldn't just be bailing out corporations, we should be bailing out people, because so many people are doing it tough. And if you're one of the people who's gone to the Centrelink today and joined those queues, I know you must be feeling incredibly worried and uncertain about whether the government has got your back in this. If one of the other people wondering whether you're going to keep a shift at work, how you're going to deal with people as we go through lockdown, what all these new restrictions mean, or just know that we know you're feeling anxious and we're feeling it too. And part of our job up here is to make sure government does everything it possibly can to leave no one behind, but also to give clear messaging. And I must say, I was pretty angry to hear Scott Morrison turn around and have a go at people for apparently not abiding by the rules when we've been getting such mixed messages from our political leaders. I mean, just a week ago, he was telling us it's okay to go to the footy and people could shake hands, and then that changed. And yes, of course, this is a moving situation where advice is going to be changing on a daily basis, but don't have a go at people who are trying to do the right thing when you can't even get your messages straight yourself, Prime Minister. And the experience that I've had from talking to people in Melbourne but also right around the country is that everyone is trying to do the right thing. People are working out what it means to look after each other as we enter more social distancing and have to keep distance from each other as well, at the same time as wanting to remain connected. People have been searching out for information, wanting to make sure that they minimise the spread of the virus, and they've been getting conflicting messages from our governments and from our leaders. So don't turn around and have a go at people, Scott Morrison, when you've been unable to give them clear messages themselves. The people that I know have been the ones who've been trying to do the right thing and make sure that we look after each other in this time of crisis. And one last thing that I'll be fighting really hard to get on the agenda this week. One of the things, as we look around the world at places like Italy and places like Germany and see how other countries are responding, one of the things that is going to make a literal life and death difference at the moment is how many intensive care beds that we've got in our hospitals. Now, they're going to be needed for people who are going to have trouble breathing, who are going to be incredibly sick, and we're going to need those ICU beds, and we're going to need ventilators to go with them. Now, we've been calling for some time now on the government to outline its plan to make sure we have double the number of ICU beds in this country, and the ventilators and the support that's going to go with them. And if we have to start getting businesses to manufacture some of those things here, then that's exactly what we should do. But at the moment, there's no plan. And when you look at Italy and you see the terrible decisions that they're going to have to make, that deciding who gets a ventilator and a respirator, who gets an ICU bed and who doesn't, we need to at least double the number of ICU beds that we've got in this country if we don't want to have to start making those terribly, terribly hard decisions about who lives and who dies. And we are entitled to hold the government to account on this and ask what their plan is, because this government has a terrible record when it comes to the public health system. They've used every budget to try and attack it. And one of the things that we're finding out now is that if we get through this crisis in good shape, it will be because of our strong public institutions, because of our amazing public health system, because of all the things that these governments have spent the last 20 years deriding and attacking. It will be strong public institutions and governments relying on science that is going to get us through this. And I want to hear what the government's plan is, what Scott Morrison's plan is to make sure that there's enough intensive care beds for the people who are going to need them. So look, while we're up here, we'll do everything we can over the next couple of days to make sure no one's left behind and to make sure our public health system gets the support that it needs to come through this crisis and help as many of us as it can. And in the meantime, for those of you who are feeling worried and feeling anxious, look, know that a lot of us are too. But we're all in this together. Social distancing doesn't have to mean social isolation. We'll find new ways of staying connected. We're looking out for you, and please look out for each other. Now's the time to be kind. Now's the time to remember that we're all in this together.